Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the JKWD podcast. How you doing, Kelvin?
I don't know why I keep laughing. I really don't.
I didn't even do anything special there.
You really didn't. I
didn't even make a face.
Yeah.
And if I did, you wouldn't have seen it because I'm hiding behind the microphone.
You are hiding behind a microphone. I'm doing fine, Mr. Shear. Thank you very much for asking. Life is good. I keep waking up every morning, sometimes faster than I had planned, but I keep waking up. So that works for me. And kind of enjoying life.
Awesome. As they apply to you and our listeners, happy, well, belated, I guess, at this point, because we are time travelers. Happy belated Flag Day, Father's Day. It is that time of year.
Yeah. Father's Day. What else came true? I don't know.
Happy belated New Year's.
In case you missed that episode.
We are brought to you today. We have a new sponsor by Kettle and Fire Bone Broth. This will help with your workout recovery. It'll help if you're doing intermittent fasting. It's keto friendly. It's paleo friendly. This stuff is actually really good. I did get some to try out. And I prefer the beef to the chicken, but the chicken is also very good. We actually cooked in the chicken. We cooked some chicken in the chicken bone broth.
Get out.
How do you like them apples? So chicken soup is called Jewish penicillin.
Gotcha.
And I think part of that is because made properly, you boil the whole chicken in it. And that includes the bones, and the bones have good stuff like collagen and all that stuff that help with everything.
That's true.
Anyway, this is an ad for Kettle and Fire. If you want 10% off Kettle and Fire, go to kettleandfire.com. You get you can get individual packets, or you can get a box. You can get a recovery box, you can get a keto box, you can get a fasting box, whatever you're going to get. And we'll give you 10% off. Use code BetterHumanhood at checkout. It's kettleandfire.com.
Are you going to have a picture of packaging on the show notes?
I can do that.
That way they can just click the picture and go, well, maybe
go straight there. Yeah.
That code in there. That could work, yeah.
Yep, and actually if you click the link from the show notes, it should pre-apply that 10%, but you might want to use the code anyway. That's BetterHumanhood at checkout, kettleandfire.com. Show notes at jkwdpodcast.com. And I'm going to stop babbling about this, and we can play the music or whatever we're going to do.
Alrighty then.
Josh and Kelvin World Domination Podcast, where we talk about better humanhood and teach you how to dominate your world. You ready? Here we go. So, we're here. It's middle of June. It's going to be summer in some parts. It's already summer in other parts. And it smells funny this time of year? Fear, Kelvin. Fear smells funny this kind of year.
Fear smells funny this time of year. Fear smells funny every time of year.
See, this is why we do this, to get you to laugh in the face of fear.
Well, man, I am so easy, aren't I? Crap. I'm so manipulable. I should stay away from you.
This is why we don't script these out, because you wouldn't have laughed if you knew that was coming.
Dude, you're looking at a guy who can tickle himself, okay? I'd have laughed. As a matter of fact, I have sat in the floor and tickled my own feet, and people say that that's not normal.
It's not, because...
Nor to try or to laugh at it, but it works. So if I'm ever really bummed out, I can just tickle my feet, and it'll crack me up.
Well, because you know that the tickling is the response to tickling is a fear response. It's a fight or flight response.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, so some people, when you tickle them, they laugh and they wriggle. Mm-hmm. And that wriggling is the flight. Yeah, because while there's a friendly, flirtatious aspect to it, your body still doesn't like it. So it's the response to kind of wriggle away is the fear, is the flight response, while your brain is trying to tell your body, no, this is good, we want this. And so it takes that oxytocin flood. But there are other times, if you don't want the person tickling you to be tickling you, mm-hmm. when you have a fight response to it.
It can become violent.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's very much a fight or flight response.
As a matter of fact, I've been known to do stupid things. Well, I'm sorry, things that weren't quite necessarily in the best interest of people. And some things. And I used to work with a young lady when I worked at University Hospital. And I said to her one day, well, I should also comment that she was dressed very nicely, very appropriately. She had on nice high heel shoes and very workplace appropriate and stuff like that. And I said to her one day, "Are you ticklish?" And most people say no, and they walk away like they're not. But if you touch me, I hurt you. But she said, "Yes, I am. And if you tickle me, I will bury the heel of this high heel shoe in your forehead." So I don't know if that was fight or flight, but I didn't tickle her. So, no surgery required that day.
Well, way to read that signal.
I appreciate that. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. But no, I didn't know that. See, now I got to look that up, because I've never ever considered that to be a fear thing, and I've always laughed, and I made my kids, I'll tell you, make them have to throw up or something because they're laughing too hard and stuff like that. But we don't do that anymore, though. I'm too old to dodge. I'm too old to run.
They're getting a little. They're getting a little old for it to be an appropriate activity. So,
yeah, that too, man. Some people just they just misinterpret my intention. We'll just leave that where it is.
Okay. Period. Full stop.
I'm not running for any political offices this lifetime.
People got too much on you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. All in fun, mind you. But that's a whole other story. I got stories, man. I got stories.
So, fear.
Back to fear.
I think we came upon this topic when I don't know what I was responding to, but I think I said something like, I pulled a quote out, and we're going to have to find the origin of this quote, but the hero and the coward feel the same thing.
You did say that. Yeah.
And it's a matter of how we choose to react or respond, because we've done the react versus respond thing, right? Mm. So a hero will go forth despite the fear. And a coward will retreat from it. Maybe we should talk a little bit about fear, because we actually know a little bit about fear, right?
I know about fear, but not from an analysis standpoint. I know when I'm afraid I don't do things, which is oftentimes the wrong response. But anyway, I'm going to defer to you because you studied this stuff.
Well, I mean, we know that, from a neuroscience perspective, we have this little, like, walnut-shaped piece of our brain called the amygdala.
Amygdala, yes.
That
not spelled like it sounds.
That enjoys. Well, the whole role of the amygdala is to keep us alive.
Yeah. Yes. So when we walk down the street and see that huge tiger standing by the Walmart front door, we don't challenge him.
That's right. Yeah, it's why if you're walking at dusk, you might shrink back when you see a stick in the street because it looks like a snake.
Mm.
It's your amygdala going, snake? No. Okay, we're good. Because you get the reaction before you get to think about it.
That is correct.
You hear a rustling in the bushes, and you step away from the bushes because that might be a tiger, or it just might be like a little swallow, just singing, flapping its feathers. But if you stick around long enough to find out it's a tiger, you stuck around too long, and now you've been eaten.
Could be a problem.
Yeah.
And I haven't done that tiger thing, but we did have a conversation about me going bear hunting, right?
We did. Did we do that on the podcast?
Yeah, we did one of those. That was crazy. Back when I was very stupid. Stupider. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a fear response to keep us alive. But now that most of us are not living in places where there are tigers in the bushes, we find other stuff to be afraid of.
Yep.
And so how are we going to respond to those things? Are they actual threats to our life, to our livelihood? Sometimes. We live in, for people with jobs, this is a very, scary few decades, because automation keeps taking jobs, and as AI gets better, as self-driving cars get better, we're going to see fewer and fewer people needing or being needed to do jobs for other people. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've seen video of that I guess essentially it's a robot, but it's a machine that builds train bridges.
No.
Yeah, it's crazy. It just.
I haven't seen that. Really?
It builds train tracks. It's pretty cool. So you build the first couple of tracks, and then you can actually put it on the tracks, and it will build the tracks as it goes.
Wow.
Now that used to take a lot of humans. Now you only need enough humans to make sure the robot's working correctly or the machine's working correctly. So as that stuff gets...
I have seen the machines they use, however, to cut down trees and forests and such. And those are, again, you need somebody to drive them. But I've watched it.
But you need, that.
Yeah, grab it, cut it, twirl it, strip the bark off of it, lay it down kind of thing. And it's like the machine just did that that fast. I'm like, holy smoke.
Yeah, and that's stuff that you used to need a whole bunch of people for a whole lot of time.
Yeah.
And now you just need a couple of people to make sure that things working correctly.
Yep.
And so we're going to see a lot more of that. But the people who do well in the face of fear, and the people who are good at their jobs will find other ways to make money. A lot of them by using the expertise for more individualized, personalized stuff. We used to require like an army of welders to make cars, and we don't anymore. But now, if you were a welder that had a lot of skill, now you can just make stuff for people, and you can customize stuff, and you can charge way more than you were ever getting paid to solder on a car door.
What's the tolerance for how many people can be good?
Right. So, like I said, some of those people will be able to do that, and some of those people will have to go do other things. But we're going to have to. Some of the people who are good at things, you need the skill level, and then you also have to be able to overcome the fear of not welding on car doors anymore. And some people who aren't welding on car doors anymore will go do something else, and some of them will go off on their own and weld stuff for people. But the market could be potentially infinite if everybody winds up more in the makerspace, in a specialized makerspace, right? Yeah, we're making a podcast. Like we're makers. We're creators. You're a photographer. Like you're a maker.
Thank you for noticing.
There will always be markets for not only the specialization, but for trade as well.
Yes.
Yeah, even if it's not cash transactions.
So, in the realm of fear, how does this translate?
Well, in the space of being afraid for, what the future holds for your career, not you, Kelvin, or you, Josh, but the general you.
Y'all.
For y'all's careers. Yeah. If you are.
That reminded me of a joke I have to tell you about that,
Okay. If you're fearful for your livelihood, get good at something, get confident at it, and sell that thing. Don't be reliant on an employer. But back to the mindset, and this is where we rely on your expertise, right?
Yes, sir.
Because you are a mindset coach.
I am.
The coward and the hero feel the same thing. How do you take a coward and make them a hero?
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the question. Strangely enough, sometimes those two people are the same person.
Right.
Be a hero in one instance, right?
Yeah, and
in the very next instance, they're very, very afraid of something else. I'm a Toastmaster. Let's take the public speaking realm. We have people who can save lives. They're very confident doing surgery and cutting people open and doing all kinds of things like that. We're confident with that, but afraid to stand up in front of a room of 5 or 6 people and talk about it.
Isn't that the number one fear?
That's what they say. The number one fear of public speaking. And I don't understand it because, I know Seinfeld had a joke about that says, No, the number one fear is public speaking, and the number two fear is death. And he made a joke that said, so that means most of the people at a funeral would rather be in the coffin than given a eulogy. You know, and I am not among them, but that is a valid fear. And I will tell you, I've been a Toastmaster for a long time, and not once in the meetings that I've been to in the 10 plus years I've been a Toastmaster has anyone ever died at the lectern. Just doesn't happen. So you don't just walk into a room, start talking, and die. It don't happen. So that is a fear. But you're correct. That is a number one fear. And
so how do
I
we?
don't know what the number. I'm sorry.
How do you take people from a fear of public speaking? Like what's the mindset shift? You know, apart from
the mindset shift for
apart from practice, right? Because you know, practice makes you confident at things.
Sometimes.
But, right. But
yeah.
Ideally, you know, I mean, ideally, practice makes perfect, or at least,
well, you know, that's
or
what
at least
they
leads
say.
to improvement.
Yeah,
but,
perfect practice makes perfect. But you know, I saw a sign.
But the fear of public speaking has got to be. It's awful until you actually do it and find out it's not that bad.
Well, there's a lot of components to that. I saw
So how do you get people up there the first time? Go ahead.
I saw a meme recently which said, "A bird sitting on a branch does not fear falling off the branch because it has more faith in its wings than it does the branch." Simultaneously, I saw another one the same time that talked about fear of heights, and they said, "You're not afraid of heights; you're afraid of falling."
Oh, yeah.
Right. So the thing with public speaking, talking about the amygdala, is what is the underlying fear? Really, it's not generally just talking. It's what you think is going to happen when you talk. You know, maybe you don't want people to think you're stupid or something. I have mastered that one. I can make people think I'm stupid and still come out of a room okay. No. You know, perhaps you're afraid that someone won't believe you. Maybe you're afraid you don't have the credibility, that kind of thing. So those types of fears, maybe the fear of attention for whatever that comes from. So a part of that is, what are you afraid of? Well, I don't want to sound stupid. Well, are you stupid? No. Okay. And one of the saving graces about speaking is that chances are, if you're up in front of a room speaking, everybody else in the room is like, "Oh my God, I could never do that. They are so brave. They are awesome," while you're panicking. So that's what the fear of speaking. You know, I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to sound. I'm not really an expert. I don't want attention on me. Well, why don't you want any attention on you? So we don't realize where that fear is coming from. So
it's kind of from an evolutionary standpoint, it's social proof. It's, you know, if I speak and do really well, I can move up in the hierarchy. But if I speak and sound stupid, then I might be outcast from the group.
People will laugh at me. Oh, fear of being laughed at, incidentally, is huge. Right? Like that's going to kill you. I mean, just imagine we'd have no comedians if everybody was afraid of being laughed.
Right? It's like, that doesn't bode well for comics.
I wouldn't have made near the mistakes I've made. You know, if I felt like, I don't want to seem stupid, but fun trumps stupid. But yeah, that's so a lot of times with fear, we got to see what's behind the fear. What is it you're really afraid of? Because fear is just a reaction, right?
How do we examine that in ourselves?
Sometimes it's just to ask the question. Because when the feeling comes, you don't really know where that's coming from. Now, you talked about the coward and the hero feel the same thing. In the body, excitement and fear feel the same way. It's how you interpret that feeling. Are you afraid to go out on stage, or are you now really excited because you're about to go out on stage? Because the chemical that comes up in the body creates the same feeling either way. So you just have to interpret it.
Right on. It makes me think of, I listen to Tim Ferriss a lot, and he has a series he did on Seneca, the Stoic philosopher. And Seneca's writings are all letters to himself. And what he would do is he would search the worst case scenario. Like, what are you afraid of? Are you afraid of poverty? Well, take a day a month and dress in rags and don't eat, because you can't get food for the day. And then the next day, realize how fine you are. Like, is this the thing I feared? Is this the worst case scenario? Yeah, what's the worst case scenario if you're up there speaking? You get laughed at? Okay. Well, so you're going to feel bad for 10 minutes or an hour or maybe a couple hours until
they write the check. No.
Right. Or until until the check clears, right?
Okay, give you that. I'll give you that. Yeah.
Until the check clears, or until somebody makes you think of something else, until somebody else gets you to laugh.
There you go.
Like, what's the worst that can happen? Then put yourself in that situation, even. Right.
Well, it takes something to put yourself in that situation with the fear. But one of the, I like to examine the fear. Like, and also, sometimes people are afraid because, I don't know how to do that. Okay. But you can learn how to do that. You can study, you can research, you can a lot of stuff you can do to get the knowledge or the skill that you don't have in order to do that.
Yeah, especially these days.
Yeah.
It's a little different than it was in 1980. You had to go to the library and maybe wait for somebody to mail the book from another library, or you had to go sit and read microfilm.
Now you can learn how to build an atomic bomb on YouTube. So it's like it's the knowledge is there.
Yeah.
So in dealing with the fear, a lot of times we have to name it. We have to put a name on it. What exactly are you afraid of? Because once you name it, it may change. Fear itself being a feeling,
right?
Figuring out what are you really thinking that's creating the feeling, and are you really inept, or do you just not know yet? Are you stupid, or have you not studied that? It's a big difference. So sometimes when you learn that you can learn what it is you're afraid of, the fear goes away. It might not go away until I actually learn it and practice it, because the other thing about the fear is the body has a memory. So I have found in my studies, in my travels, my experience, that sometimes what we're actually afraid of is the feeling of being afraid. Because we won't do something because we think we're gonna be afraid, so we're afraid of actually feeling that, and it paralyzes us, and it's really kind of weird. Now let's go to a movie. No, might be a guy in there with a Uzi.
Jump to the absolute worst thing possible, right?
Yeah, and not that it hasn't happened,
Right.
But
But you only hear about the times it happens. You don't
hear about the times it happens.
You don't hear about the hundreds of thousands of other times that it doesn't happen.
Correct. So fear being if you look at success or not success as a thing, and then sometimes people have a fear of being branded a certain way, and fear is a complex concept, but in most cases we can get over it if you work on it. Now,
exposure can help, right?
Some things I'm not willing to do, right? You remember those guys in the little squirrel suits who were like skimming the mountains and landing? Yeah. I don't care.
Not doing that. Yeah.
Not doing that. Yeah.
Well, you talked about.
I applaud him. I will shake his hand. I will greet him at the finish line. I'm not.
Well, you mentioned fear of heights earlier. Is not a fear of heights. It's a fear of falling, and it's something that I've felt my whole life. I mean, I remember we had I remember opening the window in my bedroom. It was on the second floor when I was growing up, and I just could not stick my head out that window to talk to anybody. I recognize. I think I learned about the time I was 12 or 13 that fear of heights is actually a fear of falling. That made total sense to me. Still does. Still seems very rational. But with exposure, it lessens. I'm not climbing up on a 30-foot anything now. But when we moved out of Syracuse, you came over and you helped us get some like doors and some lumber and stuff off the rafters in our garage, because neither of us would climb up a 6-foot ladder to sit on those rafters and hand them down. I remember where those rafters are probably a little over 6 feet. They were probably more like 7 or 8, because 6 feet we could touch, right?
Right.
From the ground, but they were just enough that you have to climb up on the ladder, and I just couldn't get over the third step on that ladder. There was just no way. And now, and I painted the living room in this new place we're at, and we've got 11-foot ceilings here. So, I had to get up to the 5th rung of the ladder, and I didn't love it, but, I wasn't letting my then pregnant wife come in and try to paint a place. I definitely wasn't letting her climb a ladder. She's afraid of those heights too, by the way. So it wouldn't have helped. But we got it done. I got used to being on the 5th step, and now I can just do it. Changing the light bulbs in there is going to require getting on a 6th step, so we're going to have to work on that. But I think those are 11-year bulbs in there. So I got some time.
Might have to hire that out. Yeah. Well, they got those sticks with the little fingers at the end of it.
Well, they got to make those real good because these are like inset bulbs.
Oh, even better.
So yeah. So
well, I am not without the fear of falling, actually, but that height was okay for me.
Yeah, see, exactly.
I used to have a fear of?
What's that?
When I was in Mississippi, we used to walk along a pier that had no sides.
Okay.
Right? Walking down that pier, or that whatever you call that, no sides, I had this it was weird. I can't even talk about it, right? That drew me to the water, right? So I'd be walking down the middle of this thing, and suddenly I find myself walking on the edge like I'm about to go off into the water. I don't swim, right? So that was a thing for me. So if I go out on something like that, we need sides, because I kind of feel compelled to walk to the side. And higher heights get me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, like that.
But that one was good. There's
right?
limits.
Yeah, like that's incremental exposure. Like you were good at 7 feet, I was not.
Yeah.
Now I'm good closer to 10 feet, 11 feet, which I'm guessing you're probably still okay at. And once you get
provided the ladder is going into it,
right,
yeah,
right, provided you have a good out.
Some of these steep.
Well, there's a difference between being afraid of being up there and just not. Just recognizing that there's not a safe way out. But there's some people who sit on the edge of cliffs. Yeah, not me. I don't get within like 10 feet.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah,
I don't do that.
Like that. That's just a strong gust.
Yeah, exactly. So, and
that's just I tripped on a rock, or that looks like a snake. I'm gonna jump.
Yeah, so we're not gonna do that. So, what other, if you can think back, I don't know, what other fears have you overcome?
I don't know. I think that little ones in life that we don't think about as fear anymore are things like approaching strangers.
Yeah.
But we all do it at some point, right? And we still prefer the comfort of having some social proof, like asking somebody to make introductions, where possible. But fear of being rejected, I think, is a common one a lot of people deal with. Whether that's sometimes that's in a job application, some of that's in asking for a date. Some of that's in, hey, do you want to start a podcast? Some of that's in.
I had that twice.
Some of that's in, hey, do you want to go into business together? Yeah, whatever that is. That the whole fear there is rejection when you're going one-on-one. And then there's the fear of vulnerability, and I feel like I'm still not terribly vulnerable in my blog and podcast. I tend to be more researchy. And I don't know if it's fear or lack of understanding of how to be vulnerable, or what that means, or what it looks like when it comes out. But I tend to be more researchy and scientific in my approaches.
So your confidence is the result of research and stuff that you do.
Right.
A lot of stuff you talk about. Yeah.
So that build. I've built up the confidence behind it to be doing it. Yeah. And then the other stuff is just fear of failure. If I'm gonna set out to run a marathon, what happens if I don't finish? And I might not finish. Okay, so what's the worst that happens? Okay, well, I didn't finish. Okay. You set out to stop an asteroid from hitting the Earth. And
pressure's different.
Yeah, like if you fail at that, then a lot of people are dead. But at least you tried. A lot of people wouldn't.
Oh yeah. So if the outcome is inevitable, why not? Gonna be one way. So I know a lot of people fear business. So what I found a lot of cases is the biggest part about fear is our fear of feeling fear. And I've been on some awesome coaching seminars recently. And one of the guys was talking about emotional control in coaching and stuff.
Okay.
And he said for the people that he coaches, what we found was he needed them to feel emotion. So the idea was not to get over the fear. The idea was to become comfortable with feeling the fear. Because the common denominator between a lot of that stuff was the fact that you felt emotion meant that something was about to happen. Something important was coming up. And if you never really felt that little emotion, you never really would engage the item. So understanding that you're about to do something of significance, feeling it, getting accustomed to it, moving through it was the way to go. And then you need some reinforcement and stuff. But if you weren't going to, if you were going to sit there and do nothing, there's no fear.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about, for most of us here in the U.S., I'm sure that at least listening to this podcast, most of us are of age where we remember 9/11. And the people who are directly involved on that day were all afraid, right? So people who there were people who were evacuating the building as fast as they could because they were scared of what was behind them. And there were people who were scared to death of what was going on, but they went in to help out. They ran toward it. Also afraid of exactly the same thing. I don't know what I'm going into. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what what's going on or what it is, but I know I got to help out. So, there are people who ran out and there are people who ran in and they were feeling exactly the same thing. It's just a matter of how they were using it. Some people were moving through it. Some people were getting the heck out.
And some people would just stand and be immobile because they just couldn't move, which is probably the worst kind because you're just stuck. It's kind of like the squirrel in the middle of the highway thing, right?
Right.
Till the car actually hits you. But anyway, so that's the weird stuff. The good stuff about fear is normally it means you're about to do something. So if you're a person who likes to do things, accomplish things, it's good because that's adrenaline. So did you have any fear when you started that marathon last year?
Yeah, I had done, I think my longest run had been 16 miles, 16 or 18, I think 16. So I had never actually done the distance. So I had no confidence in it. I had some no quit about me. I got through the course like barely under the time limit. Like there was a 7-hour on course limit. I think I finished in 6:57 or something. Yeah. So I know I wasn't last because I saw people behind me who were, I guess they were far enough behind me that they were behind the course limit, but they were past the last checkpoint. So, they were either finishing or getting a taxi. But, I reckoned with myself when I got there, what's the worst that happens? You bail on it and you take a shuttle back and you didn't finish. And you know what changes in the world when you don't finish a marathon? Nothing. Not a lick.
Avoid those cramps and.
Yeah, I mean, it has literally no effect on the world. What did I learn from completing it? That I'm good. I don't need to do it again. I'm fine. I like that half marathon distance. Like bring that back. I was feeling great a little past the half marathon marker.
So you do the halves again. Well, see, you know what's going to happen. You'll do the halves again, and then you'll go like, we'll do a couple in a row. Maybe I can do that.
Well, it's going to take me long enough to get back to the halves because I can't do it this year with the baby. I don't have enough time to train. So next year when she's in daycare, I might have enough time to train. But then if we have another baby, I'm going to go back to not having the time to train. So
decisions.
Right. So it might just be 5K family fun runs for a while.
All right. I might get up to a 5K one day. All right.
All right.
We'll work it up.
That's a nice hour-long walk.
I can do that. I can walk. Yeah. I got walking covered.
Okay. I'm going to put this out into the universe that we should try to get Misty Diaz on a podcast.
Say it now.
Say talk about microphone. That. I was so busy writing it down for our show notes. Uh-huh. I'm putting this out into the universe that we should try to get Misty Diaz on the podcast to talk about how she first came into running and then into obstacle races.
Uh-huh.
She's got spina bifida, which means that she spends her walking time out with on crutches, like her whole life.
Wow!
So if she can run a 15-mile obstacle race, then and just about anybody should be able to walk a 5K.
Okay. We'll
you gotta start somewhere.
We got there. Yeah, we got there. I can walk to the lake. We can do that. I can't walk on water. I've tried that.
No, you got to know where the stones are.
You remember that? Yes, sir. All right. So, I'm afraid we're about out of time.
Yeah. I would say we could keep going, but really, I think our takeaway has been move through recognize the fear, appreciate it, move through it.
Yeah.
Well summarized.
And you can work from small fears and move up to bigger ones.
Yeah.
Because once you figure out that you won't really die, what's there to be afraid of anymore, right?
That's right.
There you go.
Yeah, thank you.
That's the way. I like it.
Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. jkwdpodcast.com for show notes and all that stuff. If you want 10% off your order at Kettle and Fire, go to kettleandfire.com. That's kettleandfire.com, as in soup in the kettle on the fire.
I like that.
Use code BetterHumanhood for 10% off. And we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for listening. Show notes and more at jkwdpodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends, and we will see you next week. Bye. A Better Humanhood production.